Neil Druckmann has always believed that stories can do more than entertain. They can confront us, comfort us, challenge us, and ultimately remind us what it means to be human. For more than 2 decades, he has pursued that conviction across pixels and scripts, steering some of the most acclaimed games of the modern era and helping to translate one of them, The Last of Us, into a groundbreaking television adaptation. Now, as reports surface that he will step away from the HBO series ahead of its third season, the arc of his career feels at once complete and wide open, the latest pivot in a life defined by restless curiosity and relentless craft. Born on December 5, 1978, in Tel Aviv, Israel, Druckmann was raised on a steady diet of comic books, American action films, and the towering sagas of Israeli folklore. His parents encouraged imagination, but insisted on discipline, a combination that pushed him toward both art and engineering. When he was a teenager, the family immigrated to the United States, settling in Florida. There, the young dreamer who had spent nights sketching superheroes found himself wrestling with a new language and the awkward terrain of American high school. The culture shock was bracing, but it also opened him to new sources of inspiration, most notably video games, whose interactivity fascinated him in ways books and movies never could. After graduating high school, Druckmann enrolled at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, where he majored in computer science. The choice was pragmatic. Coding seemed a stable career path, but his passion remained storytelling. Nights were spent hunched over a keyboard modding Doom and crafting short stories. During a school talk by Naughty Dog co-founder Jason Rubin, Druckmann's hopes crystallized. This was the studio behind Crash Bandicoot, a place where action, humor, and heart mixed freely. He volunteered as an intern, hoping merely for a foot in the door, but soon proving indispensable by writing test scripts and designing levels for a prototype that would eventually evolve into Jak 3. By graduation in 2004, Naughty Dog offered him a full-time job. The timing could not have been better. The studio had just set its sights on a new action-adventure series. Druckmann started as a junior programmer but soon gravitated toward narrative design, pitching ideas about pacing and character arcs that surpassed his pay grade. Uncharted, Drake's Fortune debuted in 2007, turning swashbuckling explorer Nathan Drake into a PlayStation mascot and signaling a new era of cinematic action games. Druckmann's fingerprints were present in banter exchanges, environmental storytelling, and the quiet moments that distinguished Uncharted from countless shooters. Yet it was Uncharted 2 that revealed his knack for human drama. Elevated to lead designer, he championed deeper relationships and moral shades. Players remember the collapsing hotel set piece, but the most resonant sequences were the ones where Drake nursed wounds by a Himalayan campfire or argued with longtime partner Elena. Druckmann saw action not as spectacle for its own sake, but as a stress test for character, conflict, and consequence. Still, he wanted to explore more intimate terrain. Inspired by Cormac McCarthy's The Road and the emotional jolt of caring for his newborn daughter, Druckmann sketched a post-pandemic world in which a hardened survivor escorts a teenage girl across a ravaged United States. The pitch fused stealth mechanics from a shelved project and the father-child dynamic he was living at home. Naughty Dog approved the concept, and Druckmann, now co-director alongside Bruce Straley, set to work. The Last of Us, released in 2013, stunned critics and gamers alike. Its gameplay was tense and brutal, but it was the relationship between Joel and Ellie that lingered. Druckmann's script balanced ferocity with tenderness, culminating in a morally ambiguous finale that sparked debate. Was Joel's choice an act of love, selfishness, or both? The game swept award ceremonies, earning more than 200 Game of the Year honors and cementing Druckmann as one of the industry's leading storytellers. He credited the team repeatedly, yet co-workers noted his unwavering standards. Dialogue rewritten late into the night, mocap sessions redone to capture a tiny quiver of the lip. Success did not insulate him from risk. In 2014, Naughty Dog lost Straley to burnout, leaving Druckmann to shoulder creative leadership of Uncharted 4. He introduced themes of addiction and midlife regret, exploring how Nathan Drake's thirst for treasure had endangered his marriage. Some fans balked at the slower pace, but the title became the best-selling entry in the franchise, lauded for infusing blockbuster thrills with mature introspection. With Naughty Dog's blessing, Druckmann returned to his apocalyptic universe, this time aiming at darker terrain. The Last of Us Part 2 released in 2020 amid pandemic lockdowns, a grim synergy that only amplified its resonance. Players controlled both Ellie, hell-bent on revenge, and Abby, the soldier Ellie despised. By forcing audiences to empathize with characters they wished dead, Druckmann challenged the binary morality prevalent in games. Critical acclaim was matched by fierce backlash. Some decried its violence, others its LGBTQ representation, and internet cadres leaked the plot months early. Druckmann weathered death threats and accusations of self-indulgence. Yet he stood firm, arguing that discomfort can be transformative, that games should aspire to the complexity of literature and film. Hollywood noticed. HBO greenlit an adaptation of The Last of Us, pairing Druckmann with Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin. The show premiered in 2023 to record-breaking viewership, praised for honoring the source while deepening secondary characters. Druckmann, as co-creator and executive producer, balanced fidelity with reinvention, adjusting scenes to suit live-action nuance and coaxing layered performances from Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. He directed an episode himself, relishing the new toolset while drawing on years of mocap experience. But television production is a marathon, and creative friction inevitable. After guiding the series through 2 celebrated seasons, Druckmann will step away before Season 3, leaving Mazin and a writer's room alumni to steer the narrative further. The official statements frame the parting as amicable. Druckmann wants to refocus on game development, oversee Naughty Dog's next project, and perhaps pursue original IP. In truth, he has long juggled overlapping roles. Studio co-president since 2020, showrunner, public figure combating harassment, father of 2 children now approaching adolescence. Stepping back from the series is as much survival as strategy. Inside Naughty Dog, rumors swirl of new worlds, sci-fi concepts scribbled on whiteboards, a fantasy prototype leveraging the studio's mastery of facial capture, a multiplayer spin on The Last of Us still incubating. Druckmann, once the upstart junior designer, now shepherds teams of hundreds. Colleagues describe him as exacting yet empathetic, the type to rewrite a scene himself rather than merely demand fixes, the type to pair junior writers with veteran animators, so each sees how words and movement fuse. If there is a through line in his career, it is the pursuit of emotional authenticity. He champions representation, not as tokenism, but as truth. Ellie's queerness, Dina's Jewish heritage, Lev's transgender identity, because real worlds are diverse, and to omit that is dishonest. He speaks often about responsible violence, showing consequences, rejecting fetishization. Critics have questioned whether graphic portrayals and bleak endings nudge player empathy or numb it. Druckmann answers by citing audience letters, stories of catharsis amid grief, survivors who saw their trauma mirrored and thus validated. Beyond the studio, he mentors aspiring developers, remembering his own journey from foreign teenager to industry luminary. He funds scholarships through Carnegie Mellon, guest lectures on branching narratives, and lobbies for unionization safeguards, having witnessed crunch take a toll on talent. When he travels, he carries a dog-eared journal filled with sketches, new mechanics scribbled in margins, overheard dialogue snippets, notes on environmental storytelling gleaned from art galleries and national parks. Yet for all his achievements, Druckmann remains wary of overexposure. He limits social media, citing the vitriol surrounding The Last of Us Part 2 leak as a reminder of fandom's volatility. He believes creators should engage, not capitulate, listen, not pander. In interviews, he credits his wife, writer Maya Merzinski, for grounding him. She reminds him that stories start at the dinner table, where empathy is practiced with children before being coded into polygons. As he prepares to leave the HBO series, Druckmann's legacy feels both solid and malleable. Solid because few modern creators have shaped narrative gaming more. Malleable because he refuses to let past success calcify into formula. The next Naughty Dog title, whatever its setting, will likely challenge expectation, subvert genre, and foreground human vulnerability. And though he will no longer oversee every frame of the television show, His DNA is woven into its foundation. The lens through which audiences view Joel and Ellie bears his fingerprints. Looking back, the immigrant boy who struggled with English transformed that struggle into a superpower. The pursuit of universal language, one spoken in glances, pauses, and choices that echo long after the controller is set down or the credits roll. Whether coding enemy AI routines, directing an actor to tremble just so, or analyzing a scene's emotional North Star, Druckmann has insisted that interactivity and intimacy are not opposites, but partners. He has shown that a digital landscape can host the same depth of feeling as a novel or a film, and sometimes more, because the player's hands complete the sentence. His decision to exit the HBO adaptation underscores a core principle. Endings matter. Knowing when to step aside, letting others expand the canvas, is as vital as knowing when to push forward. Perhaps he recalls the final moments of The Last of Us Part 2, where Ellie sets down the guitar, the symbol of her past, and walks into an uncertain future. Druckmann now sets down one project so he can walk into his own next act. Guided by the same restless urge that carried him from Tel Aviv to Florida, from a dorm room to the Game Awards stage. For fans, the anticipation is electric. Will Naughty Dog's next game introduce a new hero as conflicted as Joel, a world as detailed as post-pandemic America? Will Druckmann someday return to television or try his hand at film? Will he address comedic tones or embrace pure optimism, stepping outside the shadows that have long framed his tales? Only time will tell. What seems certain is that he will continue to seek discomfort, to pry open questions about the cost of love, the burden of vengeance, and the fragile grace that makes us endure. Neil Druckmann never wanted to be merely a storyteller. He wanted to be a conduit, a designer of experiences that linger in the bloodstream. His journey so far, spanning continents, mediums, and cultural flashpoints, suggests he has only begun to explore the possibilities. As he turns the page on one chapter of The Last of Us, he invites us all to stay curious, stay empathetic, and follow him into the unknown story still waiting to be told.